Martin Van Buren, the 8th President of the United States. Martin Van Buren was only around 5 feet, 6 inches tall. He had a slim and upright build. His flawless look gave him a false impression of both his friendliness and his lowly upbringing. He was born in Kinderhook, New York, in 1782, the son of a farmer and tavern keeper. During his early legal career, he was active in New York politics. In his capacity as the head of the Albany Regency, a powerful political group in New York, he shrewdly distributed public posts in a way designed to win votes. He nevertheless carried out his official responsibilities, and in 1821 he was elected to serve in the United States Senate. He had become Andrew Jackson's primary Northern leader by 1827. Van Buren received a prize from President Jackson when he was named Secretary of State. Van Buren became the president's most trusted advisor when the cabinet members chosen on John C. Calhoun's advice started to show only secondary allegiance to Jackson. He was described by Jackson as a true man without guile. Jackson's disagreements with Calhoun, a candidate for the presidency, led to a severe schism in the cabinet. In order to avoid a potential deadlock, Van Buren and Secretary of War Eaton resigned, hoping that the Calhoun men would follow suit. Jackson constituted a fresh cabinet and once more tried to honor Van Buren by designating him minister to Britain. In his capacity as Senate President and the deciding vote-getter against the nomination, Vice President Calhoun rendered Van Buren a martyr. Van Buren used the American experience as an example for the rest of the globe in his inaugural address. The nation was rich, but the prosperity was shattered less than 3 months later by the Panic of 1837. In essence, the boom-and-bust cyclical economy of the 19th century caused the problem. Nevertheless, Jackson's financial policies exacerbated the disaster. Due to his demolition of the Second Bank of the United States, several state banks were no longer subject to regulations on their inflationary tactics, and the West had been overrun by irrational land speculation fueled by cheap bank credit. Jackson had issued a specie circular in 1836 demanding that properties be acquired with real money, gold or silver, to put a halt to this speculating. The panic started in 1837. Numerous banks and companies went down. The lands of thousands were gone. The Greatest Depression in American history affected the country for roughly 5 years. Both Van Buren and his opponents failed to implement programs decades later that might have eased the economic catastrophe. The Jacksonian deflationary tactics that Van Buren proposed as a cure only served to prolong and intensify the crisis. Van Buren committed himself to preserving the solvency of the federal government after claiming that the panic was brought on by commercial irresponsibility and credit growth. He opposed depositing government monies in state banks as well as the establishment of a new Bank of the United States. He campaigned for the creation of a separate treasury system to manage government business. He entirely stopped funding federal assistance for internal improvements, and as a result, the government even sold the equipment it had used for public works projects. Van Buren, who was becoming more and more inclined to oppose the spread of slavery, prevented Texas from being annexed since it would undoubtedly increase slave territory and may spark a conflict with Mexico. He was unsuccessful as a candidate for president on the Free Soil ticket in 1848 after being defeated by the Whigs in 1840 for re-election. In 1862 he passed away.